Hi, greetings and welcome fellow citizens. Today on Ship Talk we are going to talk about the new pocket carrier that's just been announced and is still in concept, the Liberator. So let's talk about that right after these unnecessary long intro sequence. Hi, greetings and welcome again fellow pilots and citizens out there. First up, before we go into this, I just want to do a little bit of self-promotion, i.e. promoting myself, this channel. We are trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers, and if we can get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, I will do a ship giveaway. Yes, I know that I have just purchased a 400i, but we'll see what happens if we get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So I'm kind of looking to that. Help me out here. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. But without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, during CitizenCon, they announced the launch of a new concept ship, the Liberator Carrier, or they classed it a pocket carrier. Now, I'm not too sure why they call it a pocket carrier. I'm not sure what pocket means, because a ship of this size, I'm not going to be able to fit in my pocket. I can barely fit my own iPhone in here. But yeah, it is classed as a pocket carrier. It is the small entry-level equivalent for the carrier class ships. Now, a lot of you guys know there are several carriers out there, such as the you've got the Kraken, you've got the Idris, you've got the Bengal, and I think there are even some ships that are much bigger than that, like the Retribution. I think it's also classed as a carrier. I think it's called the Retribution. But yeah, those are the massive ships. But before you get to any of those sizes, way down here, the entry-level carrier is going to be the Liberator. Now, according to the designs or the concept art, it has five extra small launch. I don't know why I want to call it launch pad. They're landing pads. Now, these landing pads can hold things like a Hurricane, or maybe a Gladius, or maybe an Arrow. I think these, by the way, it just sounds like these are mostly fighters, but I myself am really hoping that we'll be able to get some more useful ships here. Not just fighting and combat ships, but maybe we'll probably get things like the Prospector, or even a Vulture, to help make these things into proper mobile bases. So I kind of want, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking I would like to put on there, say, Prospector, Vulture, maybe the ship that refines and then and a couple of other ships to help defend and support it, and then send them off into the universe as a mobile mining base. Go to a planet, and then because it's got 400 SCUs of cargo hold, and that's a lot. So if we've got a prospector on one of those and a refiner on it as well, and then you can basically turn it into a very well-oiled mining base. I think, yeah, that will be a good future for the Liberator. I think the Liberator is going to be one of the most useful ships, period, in game. Now, the reason I say that, because I mean, I'm only guessing really at what's going to happen in the future, but a lot of my guesses have been quite on point today. I mean, I did predict things in like one of my previous videos, Jobs of Star Citizen. I predicted things like the Missile Commander, Logistics Engineer, and yeah, I also may have predicted things like Chefs and Farmers, but does look like some of those predictions are coming through. So my track record on predicting things has been good so far. Been good. So the reason I say that the Liberator, I think, will be a very, very useful, or probably the most useful ship up and coming, is because it has the ability to adapt to any environment that we set it. The first fact that it has 400 SCUs of cargo opens up a whole range of things. The first thing that I saw was like that set me down this right range of thinking was I saw a picture where like they had a caterpillar stored on top of it, and I think, although no, that probably won't work because it's way too big. But what if you could actually transport a carrier on that top flat surface? What if that you could transport a caterpillar to a location? Then you've got the whole cargo hold of the Caterpillar plus the 400 SCU of the Liberator, and you can make an absolute killing with the amount of stuff that you can haul from point A to point B. Forget the whole series. You can use a Liberator and Caterpillar mix hybrid to actually to transport a heck of a lot of equipment and make a lot of money off it. But let's go more reasonable. Now, as I said, one of the ships was, someone else came up with the idea of like putting it in a Vulcan and Vulture, and therefore you've got a mobile repair base, of mobile scrap metal processing, and using that scrap metal to repair people in need, which I think was actually quite a decent idea. And so I came up with the idea of putting like a Prospector on there, a Vulture, sorry, a Prospector, a Refiner, and maybe a couple of ships to defend it. I think that will be actually quite a good idea. And if there's anything that you need that you currently don't have, you can chop and change ships to meet different expectations or different things to match different situations depending on what you want to do. Such as, so let you have a medical supply. You can have a couple of Cutlass Reds on there to get people out to the battlefield, and although you can't really spawn on them, you can actually certainly go and give medical aid and support to all the down veterans that need. Or let's just say you want to rush, you actually want to do a prison break, and so you can load up the ship with all the tanks and tonks, land it a fair distance away, and pull out an whole ground assault on an enemy installation, just to go in there and find one of your allies and bring them home. And there is so many things that you can do. Another thing I kind of thought was an interesting idea was just fill up the top with Hurricanes with their own little turrets, and people can use, and it can be equivalent to a hammerhead with the amount of firepower that can dish out with all the remote turrets that. But yeah, you get the idea. Or even putting a couple of ballistas on there. Yeah, so, I think, what are they? They're size 9 torpedo launchers, so a couple of ballistas on there, and they can fire off size 9 ballistas into space. Yeah, I think, like I said, it does have some quite decent quirks. I think a good fair few usages that you might be able to apply to it, as long as you've got the ingenuity and the know-how, and if it actually sits and fits, you can do quite a lot of damage with this thing and earn a heck of a lot of money. But let's have a little look at some of these other stuff that it has on there. Now, I don't know if you heard me earlier, I said that there is approximately about 16 jump seats in this ship. Now, that tells me that this ship is, although the ship has got a crew complement of 2 people, just 2. So, I mean, you can solo this ship and fill it up with other ships of your own type, or if you've got a corp, you can solo it whilst getting your corp mates to actually fill it up with their own ships. But normally when it comes to life support, I did say this in the previous video, that life support is going to be key to a ship's functionality in the future, such as a life support will normally only support the crew complement, and any people outside of that crew complement will not be able to breathe unless they're in their own suits. So if you've got a crew complement of 2 and you have 5 or 6 people in there, life support is going to start reducing, and you're going to get less oxygen, and therefore people won't be able to breathe, and therefore you're going to have to put your suits on, and they've got limited atmosphere inside those as well. So certain types of ships like drop ships or cruise liners like the 890 Jump will have really high powered life support that will allow for more than just a basic crew complement, because that's their purpose. A dropship is to transport hundreds of, well, maybe not hundreds, but to transport a large quantity of people from point A to point B, and you can't do that if they run out of oxygen and die. So the fact that this Liberator ship has got 16 jump seats in it tells me that it is going to be classified, well, I wouldn't say a drop ship, but in certain situations it could be a drop ship. But it will be able to hold multiple amounts of crew members, more than just its base complement. Now, the reason these jump seats are also going to be important is because with the incoming of jump points in the future and near future, people are going to be thrown around left, right and centre. So most people probably won't want to sit in their single one-man fighters. They want to get out of their ship, they want to walk around, and they can't do that when they're going through hyperspace and being thrown off the platform just because that they decide to look over the edge. They are going to need somewhere to sit so that they don't get thrown around, injured or even killed through intergalactic turbulence. So therefore, that's where the jump seats are going to come in as a little bit of extra comfort for the pilots of all the ships that you're going to be docking at your mobile ferry. Okay, next up, let's see. Okay, next up is the jump range of this ship. Now, this ship is, as they said in CitizenCon, it is for long range deployments. So therefore, it is going to be the fighters that you put on here, as I said, like the Hurricane or the Arrow, they can't travel very far. If you try flying around in Stanton, you'll find that you'll need to stop and refuel quite frequently. They will need a point or a platform that will get them from one side of the system to the other. And with Pyro coming into effect soon, because I think it won't be long before Pyro actually becomes available, Pyro is massive. I mean, you think Stanton is big, Pirate is several times bigger than Stanton. I can't remember what the units of measurements they use, but I'm sure that they said that Stanton was a size 5 of insert unit name here, whilst Pyro was of a size 17. Let's let that sink in. Just let that sink in for a moment. Stanton is only a size 5, whilst Pyro is size 17. That is massive. You think that is a long time to just get from Port Olisar to Microtech, maybe like 15 minutes or so in your current ship. Imagine travelling across pyro in that it is going to take a long time to travel across the system. And when you want to go from one end of Stanton all the way to the other end of Pyro, yes, that is where these long-range deployment ships are going to be key or essential to actually get to the living. I tell you what now, place your start putting stock in the X1 drives if you can, because X1 drives are going to be selling like hotcakes. They are going to be emptying out of stores left, right and centre. Well, if they actually do have a maximum amount in stores, because people are going to be buying those things up. As long as their ships have the fuel tanks to handle them. I know that my, let me say my Andromeda can fly around Stanton about 3 times with the X1 system, with the X1 ship. But I'm not too sure how that's going to fare up in in Pyro with its size 17. Oh wow! But yeah, it is going to be long. Okay, so these ships are going to basically be being able to use to transport lots of little ships from great distances. So you might even be able to use them. I think this is the original design or concepts that they had for them. The original thoughts was for deployments of small fleets. So they fill them up with about 5 different small fighters, and then they can send them off to the other end of the universe, where they can actually be deployed into fights. And that might be a little bit more stuff that's coming into the future, a little bit of a look into the future. But yeah, I mean, the overall design of the actual Liberator, it's not too bad. It's a very utilitarian look. I see on the design of on superficial to utilitarian. It is definitely on the utilitarian side. So it's not much to look at, like a giant cheese wedge, but it does a good job of whatever it's going to be doing. And to be perfectly honest, it is very tempted to buy these, but I am going to wait in game. I've already bought one ship, but I am going to wait to be able to get this in game before we get this. And yeah, I think that this is really going to be a decent themed ship to look out for. But I think that's enough for the Liberator at the moment. If there's anything else that you want to know, or any other ships you want me to look into, please don't forget to mention down in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've done in creating this. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys out there.